So the second location on my list was Zaria. I felt a strong connection to Joshua Selman because he frequently appeared in my dreams, and this made Zaria stand out to me. At that time, I didn't know much about the concept of spiritual geographical location until I met my husband. He taught me about your spiritual placement, your spiritual family, and he corrected a lot of misconception about church, about Bible school, about Christianity in general. I also considered Abuja, which was my third location because it was my base. And if all else failed, I figured it would be my last resort. Abuja would not fail. So Nasarawa was my fourth location on the list. And that was because of family worship experience. I'd been in touch there and I had a friend around that place who I thought would accommodate me. So the last location on my list was Benin City. I didn't think so much about it initially, but like a sensor, it was like a persistent beat and a whisper. Benin kept popping up in my spirit. The other options seemed very comfortable, but I remember the day I sat down to think critically about Benin, and then I and Victor were talking about it, and then, searching out Bible schools through the Google, and he told me about places he already knew had Bible school. He listed a few, and I Googled them. But I noticed something. The moment I started praying about Benin City, the atmosphere around me changed. It became an intense battle. And it was as though all hell broke loose over me. The more I intensified my prayer, the more intense the battle became. I faced constant attack, morning and night. I couldn't sleep, sometimes physical rejections. And to a point, I even had a fight with my friend Wisdom. It felt like everything was against me. I couldn't help but question God. Why did everything seem to be fine when I considered other locations? But the moment I zoomed my attention to Benin City, it took another turn. It was as if the whole world turned against me. It was something to reflect on. I kept thinking. I called my pastor. As at then, I remembered I called him, and then I told him about my negative experiences, my encounters, the attacks I was facing day and night. He prayed with me but didn't say anything specific. The battle continued until one night a man appeared to me in my dream. He told me, he said, he was actually looking at my two friends who were headed to a location, and he said, Rose, follow them. And then he whispered in my ears, he said, get ready, Rose, you're going to suffer for my sake. Get ready to suffer for my sake. That was the exact word. And then he also gave me 3 other instructions which I wrote down, and I've been keeping them till date. That dream confirmed to me that Benin was indeed the place, because I knew my friends were from Benin City. So I thought to myself, if the devil was fighting me this hard because I zoomed my attention towards Benin, it means there must be something there for me. There must be something this devil doesn't want me to see or have. So I made up my mind despite the battles, and I said I was going to go to Benin to uncover whatever it was the devil was keeping away from me. I wanted to know what it's there, why he would resist me this much because of that place. I knew it was not going to be easy, but yes, I was willing to fight. So I intensified my prayers as I prepared to leave Bauchi. I called my family to inform them of my new plan to settle in Benin as the Holy Spirit had instructed me. I still remember my dad's attempt to stop me. He said, everyone is leaving Benin. Why are you going there? You're going there and people are going out. And he said, if I ever go there, I shouldn't consider them as my parents. He said, you're on your own. He even asked my brothers to call me to, discourage me from going. Despite all the attempts, I kept my decision because I wasn't going because of them. I knew it was God who had given me the instruction. Still planning on my journey to Benin. I still haven't gotten where to stay at that period. My friend Victor had called all the people he knew so that I could squat for a time before I got my own place, but all his calls did not work out. Now, at the same time, I had a big misunderstanding with wisdom, which I knew the devil put up, but as then I never knew it was a spiritual battle. Everything had been fine with us. We're, living like siblings. No, it was difficult for people to know if we were ever, if we're not ever related. It was difficult for people to tell. They always saw me as their elder sister and all of that. But we're all fine until the moment I decided that I was going to go to Benin. So everything changed. That was the period I had a fight with wisdom. And then I didn't walk in wisdom. If I had, considered some certain things, if I had known this was a warfare, an attempt of the devil to stop me, I would have taken a different posture. So at that time, I also traveled to Zaria because of the severe attack, and I was listening to his messages. The attacks were overwhelming, and then his messages at that time were the only hope I had that God was in the situation, because his messages spoke to me in that season. So I left for Zaria to see Apostle Joshua Selman, but I didn't have the time to see him in person. When I arrived, to explain my quest, my hunger, and my passion for God, because my friends called me, they had arrived to Zaria to tell me they were leaving for Benin, and because I had planned to go with them, it almost ruined my plans in Zaria. So I knew I wouldn't be able to meet up, on the travel to Benin if I stayed back in Zaria. So I went to that altar that very day and I cried. I told God, please look upon my sacrifice, Lord. And even if not for me, for the sake of your servant, as my feet have stepped on this altar, guide them so I don't miss directions. Guide them so that I don't miss your plan for my life. After receiving joint prayers from the team, I actually told them why I came, and then the prayer team prayed for me, and then I returned to Bauchi. Arriving to Bauchi, I realized my friends were set to leave the following day, but I didn't have the financial means to go with them. Neither have I gotten anywhere to stay, because all the calls proved abortive. All the calls Victor made to ensure that I get a place to stay. So I was still uncertain on where to stay, but I knew God has said Benin. I knew Benin was the right place. It was so strong, it was so palpable. The following day, they packed their bags and left. I bade them farewell, even though I really wanted to go with them. After they left, I broke down in tears. I went to the bathroom. I can remember I was scrubbing the bathroom, and then I cried to God, is this how everything you said to me ends? Is this the end of my destiny and what you've promised? And then I cried. I don't think I've cried like that all my life. So while I was still praying through my tears, my friend Victor called and said, Rose, we are coming back. Don't worry, when I come back, I will explain. His words shocked me, because they had just left barely 2 hours. So despite the uncertainty, I wiped my tears and felt hope in my spirit. When they returned, Victor told me that they had been in the park for hours but couldn't find a vehicle. They couldn't find a vehicle going to Abuja because the whole area was locked down due to the protest. There was no movement. Victor said, Rose, be happy, God has come through for you. He explained that while they were headed to the park, their friend has spoken to Wisdom, saying that, why are you guys leaving Rose behind? I thought you guys started together as a family. Why live divided? So Victor said he knew it was the angel who spoke. It wasn't that guy. So he said he was happy while the angel spoke through that guy. Then he later told me, Rose, now is your chance. Go and make things right with Wisdom. No matter who is right, this is a battle you have to win. And then I can remember I went to Wisdom. I think it was that same day in the evening I went to Wisdom. I knelt down and I apologized for every misunderstanding we've had. Immediately after, I saw how it changed him. I saw a massive change. He was so apt to help me. He postponed their travel plans because of me and assured me he would handle everything. I realized he was so eager to ensure that everything was right for us to go together. At the same period, God opened the door for finance, and I was able to go with them. I got the finance I'd been looking for that prevented me initially from going. So now Wisdom made calls for accommodation, and guess who he called? He called my husband. Wisdom had known my husband for years as a minister, and by then my husband had started his own ministry and was mentoring other people. So he contacted my husband. My husband agreed that I would come, and then he told me to reach out to him and let him know I'm the lady who he spoke about. So Wisdom actually told my husband that I was spiritually hungry and needed a place to grow, that I was so on fire for God, and I really, really need to grow, and he can't leave me in Benin. So when my accommodation and finance was sorted out, I was surprised with the Wisdom paid the remaining bills and told me while we were on our journey, he said Benin is where God will have you go. We call him prophet because he operates in the gift of the Spirit, the word of wisdom and the word of knowledge. He operates in that gift effortlessly. I finally came to Benin, and my husband sent some people to come pick me up and to take me to the place where I would stay. So these were his disciples learning from him at that time, and I was given a place to stay with one of the ladies there. Haven't seen my husband yet because of his busy schedules. I haven't seen him. I didn't really pay attention to that. So I didn't know what Wisdom told him actually. It was later on I knew that made him accept me. So I went on with my initial plan because I made a plan with Victor. We actually sorted out places where I would, go for Bible school, and then I was actually planning to strengthen my art skills because I love to draw. So I wanted to go into art full time to learn and to grow in my skills for drawing. So with the mindset I came to Benin with to enroll for a Bible school, I started going to different churches, just looking for a place to, enroll for this Bible school. And I went to Omega Fire Ministry because that was the church I and my friends attended in Bauchi. But something happened. When I went to church on Sunday, the first Sunday I attended church in Benin, the pastor called me out right before the crowd and asked, "Young lady, why are you troubled? What's bothering you? Are you a Muslim?" He actually asked that question because of the way I was dressed. I couldn't explain my hunger, my passion in details because of the short time and because I was in front of everybody. So he actually sensed that and told someone to speak to me, and then he prayed for me right on the altar and told me to come see him. So I went for the appointment and shared my passion, my hunger with him and why I came to Benin. He was amazed and gave me instructions to follow, one of which is I need to get a job, that most guys don't make it on this path, on this journey to God. How much more me as a lady? So that there are a lot of evil in this path that would swallow that hunger up. So I should get a job so I won't be stranded financially and I won't start considering other options. So he told me to get committed and I should join a department and enroll for the Bible school. So I headed, and because of Bible school that was going to resume soon, I requested to stay close to the church. So the pastor helped me out by assigning someone to get a place for me to stay with one of the sisters who was already in Bible school. So the following day I was going to pack in to stay with the lady. But that night I lost my peace. I wasn't sure my decision was right. I wasn't sure that was what God wanted for me, because that was one of the signs I know that God is not in it. I oftentimes lose my peace when God is not involved. Actually, I've been to different places, to different churches to make inquiries on Bible school, but OFM was the last, and I told God that this was the last. I can't go somewhere else. I am confused and I can't be confused. I don't want to go into religiousness. I don't want to go into religiosity. I don't just want to be a nominal Christian. I want to walk that path. I know you told me to come to Benin, and I know you're not responsible for this confusion. So I decided not to move out of the original location that my friends, Wisdom and Victor had brought me to. So I stayed there and I gave myself 2 weeks. I told God, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to any church. I'm not going to go look for any Bible school until you tell me what you want me to do in Benin. Since you've told me to come to Benin, now I'm here. I can't be this confused. I need clarity. So I stayed, I prayed, I cried. I told God, because the loss of peace, the confusion was making me lose passion. It was making me feel as though my coming to Benin was a mistake. So I gave myself 2 weeks waiting on God. But before the second week ended, I felt compelled to speak to someone. So I went to one of my husband's disciples, one of them, and then it wasn't yet church. The ministry wasn't a church as at then. So I shared my concern with him. I told him how I lost my peace, how I wrote for Bible. I just narrated everything I went through, all my journey and all of that. Or he responded, he said that I had a dream where I was confused and I got into trouble. That he actually wanted to reach out to me, but he didn't know how my reception would be. So he said, thank God you came by yourself. So he said, okay, he's going to tell his pastor, but he would suggest I call him directly. So all of a sudden, he occurred to me that I hadn't thanked the man who arranged accommodation for me in Benin. So I felt guilty. But I knew I needed to speak to him because that body was so much on me. So I took my phone, went on WhatsApp, and then I wrote to him. I said, good day, sir. I'm feeling so tired and confused. And I know God is not responsible for my confusion. Sir, is there any place under heaven where one can know God? Is there no place at all? I know God has places. He knows when someone is hungry for him, and I know he has built systems already. Is there no place under heaven where I can know God? After I sent the message, he replied, he said, okay, we'll need to meet in person. So this was my first time I was going to meet him. But I wasn't scared, neither was I, having any expectation whatsoever. That was because of my mindset, and that was because of the experience I already had in biology before coming. I'd already been broken, so I don't want any of that. I know I'm going to be interfacing with him, but that was not even a thought. The relationship was not it, marriage wasn't it. So the day of our meeting arrived and we met. I shared my journey, how I came to Benin, my love for God, my desire to know God more. I even mentioned how I was heartbroken and I don't even care about a relationship. I don't want to even go into any relationship, and I don't intend starting anything that will get me hurt. So I just want to focus on God. I love God so much. He listened quietly to me without interrupting until I was done. Then he simply said, all right, just make sure you come to church. It wasn't the simple response that made me stay, actually. It wasn't his word. It was the peace I felt. There was this calmness, there was this soothing, and I felt I was in the right place. I've never felt so perfect before. Like, he carried this presence of God so much around him. So that was what made me stay. I attended the church that Sunday, and that was the final confirmation. I heard him preach for the first time, and I knew I'd found home. I started serving. I began as a disciple, and I was so passionate. I was growing. It was so massive that it was evident before everyone that there was something about me. My growth in God stirred up a lot of curiosity and inspiration to other people. One thing led to the other, and then along the line, he proposed. And I said yes. Yes, I said yes. The proposal is a whole story altogether. And it's not something I'm going to share now, except you want me to. So if you're curious about the details of how he proposed, leave a comment and I'll share the full story of how he proposed, how I received God's guidance to move ahead after he had told me to hold on. Remember what he told me? He said, Rose, forget about men. I'm going to bring the right person. So I'm going to share how he told me to move ahead, to go on. Because after his last word, I needed to go for a confirmation. So that is it. That's my story. So if you want me to share about the proposal and how he went about it and how I got tricked, yeah, I actually got tricked. please leave a comment. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Drop your comments, and then I will go ahead to share that part of the story. God bless you all. Stay tuned for more inspirational stories and teachings from me. Love you.